Hey, good morning, everybody, from a very cool Port Shepstone. It's lovely to be with you. Thank you for taking time to share this devotion with me today. We've been talking about Jehovah Nissi, which is the name that Moses gave to God after he won that great battle against the Amalekites. And we've been talking about how the fact that God expects us to put on the armor of God in spiritual warfare sense, put on the helmet of salvation and take up the sword of the first spirit and the shield of faith and the breastplate of righteousness and all those amazing things that we read about in the book of Ephesians. And the question we've been asking is, who's got my back? And the simple answer is, God's got your back. God will protect you from the back when you do what's right in the front. And we've been looking at this different scenario for us. I want to take it to another level and make a particular application of this principle today. We read in the book of Exodus chapter 10 where Moses came up with some conflict issues with his brother and his sister. Miriam and Aaron had decided that they were going to give Moses a hard time. And so we see how they conspired together, and they were jealous of Moses' popularity, his power, and the fact that the people recognized him so incredibly as the leader. And they became incredibly envious about that. So much so that they began to make Moses' life really miserable and began to tell stories about him that weren't true. And you know what that scenario can look like. But God saw this, and he said, "You don't dare touch my man Moses. He's my man." And so God called a meeting with Moses and Aaron and Miriam, and he came down and he spoke to them in a cloud. And then when the cloud had lifted and God had said how displeased he was with Aaron and Miriam, he looked at Aaron and Miriam, Moses looked at them and saw that they were covered with leprosy. Now Moses was a compassionate man. He did not want God's judgment to necessarily be upon his brother and his sister. So he called out to God and he said, "God, please remove the leprosy." And God was merciful and he removed the mercy. Now this is a good lesson for us, that when people confront us and people say ugly things about us for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons, or some people will do wrong and expect people not to say anything. You can't do that. It's blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, not those who are blessed are those who are persecuted for being stupid. So when you're persecuted for righteousness' sake, the key here is just suck it up, because God has got your back. Now maybe today you're going through a time like this. Maybe you're really wanting to follow God and people are giving you a hard time, and it's like a crazy thing. You're just saying, is this worth it? Am I to face this opposition all my life? The answer to that is, well, you might or you might not, or the chances are that you probably will. But the answer to this is to do what Moses did. Go to those people with a compassionate mind. Don't look for revenge. Don't look for your own back. Look to God to be compassionate to those who come against you, but at the same time you can smile and know that God has got your back. When I think of a radical example, I just think of Jesus as he stood before Pontius Pilate, and it looked like God had abandoned him. God had not abandoned him, and Jesus told him so. Pilate said, "Don't you know that I have the authority and the power to do with you what I want? I can have you killed." And Jesus would then have almost smiled and said, "Well, actually, the only power you have is the power that God has given to you. Don't you know, Pilate, God's got my back. I have 10,000 angels that I could call upon to take me out of here, to wipe out your pathetic army and take me home to God, my Father, because He has got my back." Now, I hope that maybe even if you're coming up against opposition for your faith, that people who are standing against you, people who may be maligning you, mocking you, or doing whatever, expect it. Don't fight it, because that's what they did to Jesus, and Jesus told us to expect that, because they're going to do that to us as well. But you can, with a good smile and a good attitude, look to those people and say, "God, be gracious to them, and God, be kind to them, because I know that you've got my back." So I hope that this will maybe encourage you in light of a situation that I know not all of you will be in, but maybe today there are some of you who are facing that kind of opposition. Remember, God's got your back, and I'll see you tomorrow.